KJ, haven't been there before, been in this process. What's the last week and a half or so been after Big Ten's? What's that been like for the guys getting ready for this event?
Yeah, so we actually traveled back because the Big Tens were in Lincoln, Nebraska this year. So we got back Monday. We actually gave the guys off Monday and Tuesday. It's a really grueling tournament. You wrestle 4 to 6 matches for most of our qualifiers against really high level competition, and the style of wrestling is very physical. So let their bodies recover, and then we kind of hit like a little mini spike in our training cycle towards the end of last week. And then once we get into this week, it's super tapered, really just whatever you need. The phrase I said, you got to do the littlest amount of work you can do to get your weight off, to make weight right. You try to do to really give your body a chance so that, you're jumping through the roof when we get to the nationals on Thursday. You should feel, totally refreshed, energy, awesome. So all the training and all the leg work is done at this point. So it's about just feeling great and making weight.
Okay, let's dive into the bracket. So you've analyzed these brackets for our guys relatively thoroughly. Let's start with Heinzelman and what his road looks like.
Yeah, it's hard to, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, hey, one match at a time, but that's really all you can do at the national tournament. Obviously you can keep an eye on some stuff, for later rounds, but we have tough draws. I mean, this national tournament in general, in my opinion, is maybe the best national tournament I've ever seen. And it makes sense as to why it does. I mean, with the bonus here, you have 6 or 7 years worth of great athletes, all packed into one. So there's a lot of extra bonus year seniors that otherwise wouldn't be in the tournament that are still in it. Then you got awesome freshmen like you usually do, but it's a very tough tournament. So it's hard to get too far down the road. We know how that always goes when you assume you're going to be in this round or think you're going to have this guy. Upsets happen. But so for round one, obviously he's got Lamont, who when you're the 12 seed and you draw 21, you really typically don't expect it to be a returning All-American, but that's what it is. He's got to wrestle him, and obviously I'm familiar with everybody in the field. I mean, that's our job to be prepared. So, I understand some of the things, some of the problems he might bring for Malik. So prepare for those. And it's about execution, right? I mean, all game plans are great when you're in the practice room and drilling them and having somebody mimic a look for somebody, but at the end of the day, you have to execute it. And it never feels exactly like how you practice, right? So you have to, be ready for it to, I know he's got a lefty underhook, and it's like, you gotta make sure, you're tight on that side. So if he jams that hook, you're not getting your torso twisted, but he might be stronger than the look you've been feeling at practice. So you just got to be ready. So it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. 12-21 is always those are close numbers together. So it's pretty even bout. It'll be whoever executes.
And obviously he's been there before. So how does that help him, having gone through this process?
Yeah, I mean, they both have, right? So it's like, I don't know if we have a leg up on him because, he's old as well. So, Malik, last year made one mistake in that opening round match against Penn State. He tried to roll through on a cross wrist tilt, and it was too high up in the armpit, and the guy stepped over him for reversal and back points. And then on somebody as good as Howard was, it was hard to come back. So, like I said, it's really just about execution and focus and wrestling mistake free.
So we moved to 141 and D'Amelio.
Yep.
And what's his first round look like?
He's got Quinn Kinner, former Buckeye.
Okay.
Yeah. So I said the bracket gods have a funny sense of humor, pairing up two teammates together first round. But it is what it is. And, obviously there might not be somebody in the tournament that we're more familiar with. Obviously he was on our team and we recruited him, and him and Dylan have, they were teammates together. So, happy for Quinn and how he's kind of, resurrected his wrestling career. He's wrestling really well. He's competed against some of the top guys very strongly, close matches. He's very stingy, competitor, obviously he's very talented. So, again, it'll come down to executions and who can, who can wrestle them, who can keep the match kind of in their pockets of where they're A to A plus, and then maybe their opponent isn't, right? So you kind of want to wrestle your matches in your spots.
And you mentioned the field as a whole is old and experienced, and this particular weight class is pretty good class.
Yeah, a lot of seniors in there, obviously with Lee, Ironman, Rivera. I mean, in the Big Ten in general, it was, going into for Dylan, his record. I remember when we were looking at the Big Ten seeds, he had quite a few losses in there. And, I was like, you gotta do a deep dive and look at who those losses are too. They're to number 1, 2, and 3 in the country, and Michich, he had a loss to as well, who, obviously is awesome wrestler. So, there's not a lot of guys in the country that can beat those guys. I mean, that's why they're 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Dylan is trending up. He's he really kind of got back to who he was as a wrestler. He's being a lot more diligent on top, trying to wear guys out in that position and maybe even turn them, but very stingy. He's wrestling very stingy, and he's got to get to more attacks. I think that was a little bit of his probably frustration on Sunday at the Big Ten Championships. He wasted 2 periods without attacking, and then in the third period against Minnesota, he just started pulling the trigger. And he was getting to the legs, and the guy's strong and could cling on, and he wasn't finishing well. But it's like, you got to give yourself more opportunities to problem solve. If you wait to the third period to do that, you might not figure it out till it's too late. So I want to see him get on his attack early, first period. If the guy, brings a problem in finishing and whatever, you can kind of feel it and work through it, navigate through the situation, and then you'd be able to, you get into enough tacks, even if your success rate, your percentage is low, throw 10 attacks at him and convert 2, you're good. Right. So for him, it's just about taking more swings.
Okay. Then we move to 149, of course, Sammy, and obviously one of the favorites in this weight class.
Yeah. Yeah. Sammy, similar to Dylan, right? I mean, the story for Sasso's national tournament, in my opinion, will be, did he cut loose? Did he wrestle tight or did he cut loose? And he's definitely been wrestling a little tight, and he knows that. It's not anything that, doesn't take a keen eye to see that. He's got to get to his attacks. He's a great shooter. He really is. Like, I know, evidence might not indicate that, but I watch him practice every day. I watch him cut loose and wrestle free. And he's got many different ways to get to the legs. He can go from the open. He can go from congestion when the tie up. And the thing with Sammy is, if he just needs a bite of your leg too, if he can just get his hands locked, he's got tremendous tension, strength, very strong positionally. He's like very surgical when he gets to the leg. Kind of takes him a little while, some time to finish, but he knows exactly what he's doing. The pressure he's putting on his opponent is right. So for him, he's got to wrestle freely, cut loose, get to the guy's legs, because we know his defense is superb. So, go get a 3-point lead, and he's in a great spot.
Okay, we move to Karchla at 165 in his first tournament. What's it like for guys like that who are making their first trip to the NCAA Championships?
Yeah, Carson. I think Carson, again, he it's kind of the broken record here, but we wrestled very tight on Sunday at the Big Tens. Waiting around, I don't know, exactly why. There's probably different variables as to why. Um, but for Carson, he is a great finisher. I know he didn't finish an attack on Amin, and he didn't finish a couple attacks on Hamidi from Wisconsin. But if you look at the whole picture of the season, like that's kind of been his MO, is finishing quick. Probably one of the best finishers on our team. So he's got to just stay very diligent and focused, and kind of expect that when he shoots, his batting average is pretty good at getting his hands locked. He shoots, pulls the trigger, he usually gets to the guy's leg. But a lot of these guys are good. Scramble, his weight class is totally up for grabs. I mean, there's probably 8 guys that can win the tournament. Like if on Sunday you told me one of the 8 guys was the champion, like none of it would surprise me. And Carson's one of those guys. So again, it'll come down to who can execute best in that, and on these 3 days. And I'm confident in our guy, and wouldn't trade him for anybody.
And having gone through his first Big Ten tournament, how does that prepare him for this event?
Yeah, he's missed a lot of mat time, right, over his first 2 years. Last year hurt, not having the whole season out. So he's in his third year. He's in his third year and making his first trip to the Nationals. So it's kind of funny to say, but I think he's just prepared because he's been in big pressure moments, his whole life, and he's very well coached from his dad. And I expect him to wrestle very well.
And talking about experience, of course, Ethan at 174 has been around the block and kind of knows what the run is going to be like. And he's been wrestling. Probably had the best Big Ten tournament of anybody.
Yeah, everybody's development arc is a little different, right? And Ethan really figured out who he was as a wrestler last year. I said earlier, I kind of made a reference to it earlier, like, you shouldn't be out there searching at this level for what you want to do or where you want to be. Like, you should know exactly where you want to be on the wrestling mat. And I think Ethan knows exactly where he wants to be. He wants to be on a lot of leg attacks, low singles, high crotch. He shoots a lot, good finisher. So, I think something happened probably about midway through last year where he really found himself as a wrestler, and then he's bought into that, and he's very consistent. His work ethic's incredible. He's here all the time, and it's just been an avalanche of all those hours of work kind of hit last year, and that's who he's been this year. So the big thing for him is he's become very, very consistent.
And consistency certainly helps in a tournament like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, like I said, like there were flashes of brilliance from Ethan, even his freshman, sophomore year, but last year is where he really became like a guy you can rely on, and you knew what you were going to get when you went out there. And, he's found a way to win matches, tight ones that maybe he didn't when he was younger. So experience has helped that. And then just belief, right? Like once it happens once and you find a way, you believe you can recreate that. And he's used to recreating it. He's been very clutch. He was clutch against Labriola, and he's going to have to be pretty clutch this weekend, because kind of like 65, that field has a lot of guys kind of bundled up towards the top that can all beat each other.
And another guy that's been around the block is Romero, and he seems to be coming on towards the end of the year as well. Yeah.
Good news. Caleb's healthy. I think that hampered him a little bit last year at the national tournament. Even from a confidence, even if you just feel just a little bit not right, the brain's very powerful, and that can kind of play in and take hold in your brain. And he wasn't exactly 100% at the nationals last year. And I think the style in which, he wrestled kind of showed that. But this year he looks great, strong. He's healthy. and his attitude's in a great spot. He's very eager to get there because of the bitter taste the Nationals left in his mouth last year. So Caleb, I can't wait for him to compete this weekend and get what he really wants out of this.
And a guy maybe whose record maybe doesn't show how well he's been wrestling, Gavin Hoffman at 197, making his first appearance. Again, with it being his first, he's been around, but first nationals. So
yeah.
What do you see for him going into this event?
Super proud of Gavin. Super proud of his development this year. I mean, this last year he didn't qualify for the national tournament, and this year I think he seeded 21st, right? It's the 21 seed. So, and like I said, because everybody came back, it's the same field. So, I know that as coaches and as fans, and it's like we get so focused on like, what is he going to be the national champion? Like that's the only way you can measure success, is if you're a national champion. Well, then there's going to be 10 successful people this weekend if that's your metric, right? And I think for Hoffman, like you have to find solace in the fact that you couldn't qualify last year, and this year you're the seeded 21st. Like that's a pretty big jump. That's a 15-16 spot jump if he was just on the fringe last year. So obviously he's developed, and that weight class, a lot of people wrestle. Gavin's been in a bunch of them. I mean, he's wrestled Schultz close, Warner close twice now. He's even the matches he's won in the Big Ten were close. So it's like, I think it's the level from 1 to 33 in that bracket, the gap is not very wide at all. So it's pretty wide open as well. So again, it'll come down to execution, and who can kind of clutch up in the big moments and execute their plan and finish their takedowns and get into the period takedowns and make sure they don't end periods on bottom, and all those tactical things that we talk about as a staff. And if he does that, he'll have a successful tournament. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I know for Gavin, he wants to get on that podium.
Then we move to heavyweight, which is interesting division. Some really quality wrestlers, obviously one of the best in the world. This is his fourth qualification, 2 here and 2 before he got here. What do you see for him in this bracket?
Yeah, Tate has to just, he just has to finish. He has to finish some of his takedowns. He had a couple at Big Tens. Couple of the matches he won, he finished his takedowns and was able to win those matches. And then, besides the Stevenson match, the match he lost, the one that jumps out to me is the Nebraska match. I mean, he had opportunities. He had the guy's leg in the air 2 or 3 times in a tie match in the third period and couldn't finish. So, he's just going to have to be very, very deliberate with his finishes and focused and convert. If he can convert, because he can get to the legs. Tate can get to the legs a couple different ways. And then once he does, he's got to make sure that he wrestles it tight and finishes his takedowns. There's some pretty high level guys in that bracket that the public would probably think have a stranglehold on some of the top spots, but that's why they wrestle the tournament. So Tate, he's got some things that he can muddy the waters for some guys and stress them out and get them into some positions where I think he can benefit. But again, I've been saying this, the whole thing, it's just about execution. I mean, this is the national tournament, right? So it's the 33 best guys in the country at each weight class. They're not separated by much, right? There's a reason. And it's going to come down to who executes in short time, who executes on the edge, who can just, have confidence and be themselves and wrestle to their ability. You see all the time upsets happen. So Hopefully we're on the good end of some of those. And then, but more so, I just want our guys to wrestle to their potential. I want them to cut free, wrestle free, and just have no regrets when they leave that mat, because I'm very confident in our skill sets.
And returning All-American, seeded 13th, just speaks to the quality of this particular bracket and really the tournament, in general.
Yeah, those are all over the brackets, right? I mean, look at 125. I mean, you have All-Americans. I mean, shoot, I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 in the top quarter, right? So, there's going to be a fresh set of faces in there, and each podium is going to look different. They'll look different from last year. There's not going to be any weights where it's just pretty chalk, right? I think there's going to be a lot of variability in there.
And with such a strong field, the team title, the team race, I mean, that could be for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some, Penn State, Iowa, and Michigan they probably have the highest floors of teams, if that makes sense. Meaning they'd really have to, somebody would really have to catch lightning in a bottle and wrestle really well in order to threaten those 3 teams. Can we do that? We could. Like I said, we would need all 8 though. We would need all 8 guys to punch through, probably become All-Americans. And the message I told our team, I'm like, do each of you believe you can All-American? Okay, I'll shake their head. Yes, of course. Okay, do each of you would any of you be surprised if the guy to your left or to your right All-American? No, I wouldn't be surprised. I walk with this guy every day and I know what he's about and I know he's capable. I'm like, okay, well, if you all believe that, then we can do that, right? And does that happen at a lot of national tournaments where it works out that way? You'd have to be pretty perfect, right? Pretty perfect to get all 8 through. But can it be done? Absolutely. And hopefully our guys get a little bit momentum. They can feed off each other, and that's kind of how that'll happen. If that were to happen, that's gonna be a big part of it is momentum and feeding off each other. But I think all 8 guys have a chance to get on the podium, and some guys very, very high. So we would just need them all to do it on the same 3 days. If we can do that, then we'll be in good shape.
All right, Jay, I appreciate your time and best of luck.
Yep. Thank you.